My name's Norm Blackwell. We're here today going to set some coyote traps. I'm going to show you how I do this. The reason I chose this location, right behind the camera, there's a little tractor path that goes over this ditch that runs down through here. The coyotes are running in between these two fields. Instead of the coyote running through this ditch with all the thickness and just briars and everything in there, coyotes are going to use these trails just like we do. So what I did is I set this up right here, and the farmer's already disced up the field and everything, and he kind of turned this up, and it just was a good location. The wind is normally coming from over my shoulder here straight towards the camera. We got an old cornfield down through here. On the other side of this little pass-through road, there's a big creek. So this is just a nice funnel point through here. We found this spot right here. What I use is this is a number 3 Sleepy Creek. It has a big pan on it, so I don't have to worry about that little 2.5-inch pan getting the coyote to step right on it. And how many times you guys check your traps and see coyote tracks right next to them, your pan? Well, by putting this big pan on here, I don't have to worry about that. We can't use bigger than a number 3 trap here in Georgia, so this is what we choose to go with. We're going to stake this down with an earth anchor today. I'm going to show you how you put one of these in. It's real simple. Obviously you need a driver. When you hold that up, trying to do this so the camera can see it. Okay, it's got 2 points on the end. What I do is I put them 2 tips of that point facing me. When I drive that down in the ground, I'm going to set that. I grab the trap chain and I'm going to pull back in this direction, which will push them points into the ground and set that. You don't always have to do that. Some trappers don't. I always do. So we'll get this started right here, and I always put it at the front part of my hole. That way I can bury my chain and everything, my shock spring, everything underneath my loose jaw, and it works out real well. So we'll get this started down in here a little bit. And we'll drive this in. Alright, we got that drove down in there. Just pull your driver out. Grab your trap chain and pull back on it, and you'll feel it set. It don't go nowhere. Put a little dirt on that. Now we've got this already kind of set up here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera and give you a better shot of this in case you can't see it real well where you're at. How this looks compared to this hole. Okay, this gives you a different look at it. You can see my hole dug back into this bank. We got the trap right in front of it. The width of my hand, the center of that pan is going to be about 8 to 9 inches from the edge of this hole. And it's right straight on. There's no reason to offset this in this type of set, because when we're done, this is going to be filled in. This clump of grass is going to be setting here. There's a natural side here. Coyotes are going to come in straight on. They're not going to be off to either side, and it's a deep enough step down where they're going to funnel straight in over top of that pan. Alright, so we got this down in here. Let's shove some dirt over this. I love using long springs because they just about bed themselves. There's not a lot of work involved in pushing down dirt. Even in wet ground, they work real well. I always make sure there's nothing up underneath my pan. I don't want no roots, no sticks, rocks. I'll pack that down real good. Alright, nothing moves, jaw's all solid. I go ahead and I pull down, get my pan set right where I want it, and take my peat moss and put over top. Peat moss, keep the weather out, keeps your traps working longer. Now the key thing to peat moss is you don't want to put the peat moss over top of your jaws. You want it over your pan and on the inside of your jaws. If you put the peat moss over your jaws, when the jaws come shut, sometimes it'll get caught in there and hold your trap open, and you'll lose your catch. So you just want to put that on there, and I usually put about a 1/2 inch roughly over top of the pan all the way around inside the jaws. And then we just take our sifter and get that all done. And that's it. Now I know my pan's right here, just about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch of cover over top of my peat moss. And right there's my pan. Okay. Now this was all here naturally. I pulled that back a little bit just so everybody could see in the camera. I'm gonna put that right back in there where it was. And this here is gonna come back in here where it was. Now, the front of this is not that important. It doesn't matter. You don't have to knock it all down and make it level. They're used to walking through fields and stuff every day. So that don't mean a whole lot to them. Behind this, we got tall grass. We got there's some thorns in there and there's some branches and stuff. So they're not as likely to come behind this set as they are in some locations. They'll come right around and work this real easily. So we just I folded back what I needed to, made the set in here, put it right back in, makes it very natural. With a 3-inch pan setting right in front of this, roughly 8 to 9 inch center over here, there's no way a coyote can come in here and see what's down in that hole without stepping on that trap. Let me grab some bait and we'll show you what we're going to use there. Alright, we got our bait here, and we're going to use This is Thundercat. It's a bait that I put out myself. Never trap on credit. Don't be afraid to put some bait in the hole. Okay? Big gob, throw it all the way in the back. Just like that. Now this is a lure. And there's no secrets here. This is Boss Dog. It's made by Clint Locklear. Excellent lure. I've had good success with that. And then I take a little bobcat pea and I squirt up in here. And that's all there is to it. You can get a little bit of grass, a little bit of debris. Kind of fold it up and shove it down there in that hole a little bit just to keep them from really seeing what's going on. They'll still be able to smell it. Being a dirt field, I don't have to worry about blending this in. I want it to stick out. Everything's set. All we got to do now is come back tomorrow and take the coyote out of the trap. Okay, I wanted to show you the finished product. I don't know how well it's going to show up in the camera here. But right back in there is the hole. Right out here is the trap. Comes out here into the field.